This is the BBC.
This podcast is supported by advertising outside the UK.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
You're listening to A Point of View, personal essays from leading writers. This week, John Gray discusses why he believes Western liberals are turning their backs on tolerance.
Justice is as much a matter of fashion as charm. So wrote the 17th century religious philosopher and mathematician Blaise Pascal. He may have exaggerated to make the point that what we take to be eternal principles change over time. But it's true that some moral ideas and practices become unfashionable and fade away. Sometimes this is a good thing. Few of us want to return to a world where vendettas and duelling are practiced. In other cases, something of enduring value is lost. This is what has happened with tolerance. Nothing is more unfashionable at the present time than the belief that we should respect the freedom of expression of those with whom we deeply disagree. For many advanced minds today, tolerance means giving freedom to enemies of human progress. In this increasingly influential view, guaranteeing free speech to a wide variety of beliefs and opinions is actually a form of repression. The idea of repressive tolerance is not new. It was first popularized in an essay by the philosopher Herbert Marcuse in the 1960s. Marcuse died in 1979, but in many ways his philosophy is a blueprint for the so-called woke movement today. A lifelong follower of Marx, Marcuse was disillusioned with the working classes. They had no interest in a communist revolution, so he turned to intellectuals. He became the chief guru of the student movement and encouraged them to block the expression of reactionary ideas. Today, Marcuse's Marxian belief that tolerance is repressive inspires a new kind of liberalism, which allows freedom only to views it regards as progressive and enlightened. The trouble with this liberalism isn't only that it's the opposite of what liberalism has always meant. Worse, illiberal liberalism is a recipe for chronic division in society. Everyone says they want progress, yet there are very different views of what progress means. Does it mean more personal liberty or more social equality, more peace or more justice? Or do some people believe they can have more of all of these goods at the same time? In reality, they're often conflicting values. The human world is complicated. It's not divided between good people who know the best way forward for humankind and wicked people who resist it. That way of thinking is what fueled the wars of religion and the totalitarian states of the 20th century. From the early 16th century through to the early 18th, much of Europe was racked with religious wars in which millions of people lost their lives. It was these terrible sufferings that produced the modern tradition of tolerance. The lesson of the wars of religion was that communities with different values and beliefs had to find some way of coexisting in peace. This tradition survived for centuries. It's now endangered in the Western societies where it came into being. Tolerance has been practiced in many other times and places. The 3rd century BC Indian Emperor Ashoka, a convert to Buddhism, left rock inscriptions instructing that all faiths be honoured. Earlier, in the 6th century BC, the Emperor Cyrus the Great of Persia, a Zoroastrian, decreed that all religions practiced in the empire be respected. In ancient China, Confucianism and Taoism, Buddhism and animism coexisted amicably for many centuries. The Romans incorporated the gods of many religions into their polytheistic pantheon. The modern West has no monopoly on tolerance. In fact, it was from the modern West that the intolerant political religions of the last century originated. The Nazis attempted to justify their genocidal policies by appealing to what they called scientific racism, a hodgepodge of mad and bad ideas that supposedly showed some Europeans to be superior to the rest of humankind. Lenin's communism was a direct descendant of Jacobinism, the radical political ideology that inflamed revolutionary terror in the French Revolution. Now it's Western liberals themselves who are turning against tolerance. Tolerance carries with it an implication of judgment. If you tolerate an idea or a practice, it means you think it's bad or false, but believe it shouldn't be suppressed. You can't be tolerant of the beliefs and values of others if you have no firm beliefs and values of your own. But neither can you be tolerant if you try to force them on others. Attempting to compel people to accept a single creed has always led to oppression. The strange kind of liberalism that is currently in fashion has rejected tolerance in favour of enforcing what it is sure is the truth. Anything that departs from the current progressive consensus must be condemned, banned, and rooted out from society. The aim is no longer to find a way for people with different values and beliefs to coexist in peace. It's to impose the one true way of life on all of them. It doesn't occur to these new liberals that a society in which everyone followed the way of life they promote would itself be highly conformist. Any society in which a single ideal is inculcated is bound to instill a uniform way of thinking and penalise those who depart from it. You can see this pressure for conformity at work today in the so-called cancel culture. Anyone who deviates from a shifting liberal orthodoxy faces being drummed out of their profession and losing their livelihood. So people censor their thoughts and watch what they say. It's a bit like the communist regimes of the 20th century. The difference is that Soviet censorship was enforced by a dictatorial state. Illiberal liberals have imposed censorship on themselves and then on the rest of us. But the chilling effect of the new censorship goes beyond the cancel culture. The arts too are threatened. In a bill under consideration by the Scottish Parliament, any form of expression that could be deemed to stir up hatred could be criminalised. Of course, tolerance need not and should not be absolute or unlimited. Hate speech should be curbed because it has so often been a prelude to violence. But limits on free expression should be defined narrowly in terms of preventing the worst historic evils. They shouldn't be used merely to prevent anyone being offended or upset. This is the danger of the extremely wide prohibition envisioned in the Scottish Bill. Effectively, it could ban anything that anyone claimed was hurtful to them. This could have the effect of criminalising a good deal of drama and entertainment. Consider comedy. It's been said that it's a crueler genre than tragedy. Comedy reveals the absurdities of human life. The best comedians don't flatter their audiences. They mock us for our pretences and illusions. They reconnect us with our lives as we actually live them. That's why dictators have always feared and censored comedy. The arts are ways in which human beings come to know themselves, and self-knowledge can be uncomfortable. We're not the simple good or evil beings imagined by woke warriors. We're inwardly divided and ruled by impulses and ideas that are good, bad, and sometimes plain crazy. This is the reason tolerance is so important and so unfashionable. The basic premise of a tolerant society is that we're all incurably imperfect. Torn by conflicting values, we can't even conceive a perfect world. The most we can do is strive for one that seems to be somehow better. While we're doing this, we have to live with others whose view of a better world is different from our own. Illiberal liberals try to impose their view of human progress on all of us. Their goal is a society in which only what they regard as the most benign ideas can be expressed. In such a society, the contradictory impulses and ideals that make us human will be smothered. The arts will consist of unending, self-congratulatory performances of virtue signalling. I don't think I'm alone in finding this prospect intolerable.